Collection of passages on the true meaning of emptiness. Here you can read and contemplate more passages related to my explanations in chapter 4 on the fact that Buddha nature is not empty of itself, but only empty of samsaric phenomena and illusions. Quote, "The element or Buddha nature is empty of the adventitious stains, which are featured by their total separateness, but it is not empty of the matchless properties which are featured by their total inseparability." End quote. Bodhisattva Maitreya. Buddha nature is empty of the defilements that cover it and which cannot penetrate it, just like dirt cannot penetrate a diamond. Also, as a fire cannot be separated from its heat, Buddha nature cannot be separated from its innate qualities. Quote, Mahamati. What is meant by the emptiness in its highest sense of ultimate reality, realizable by noble wisdom? It is that in the attainment of an inner realization by means of noble wisdom, there is no trace of habit energy, generated by all the erroneous conceptions of beginningless past. Thus, one speaks of the highest emptiness of ultimate reality realizable by noble wisdom. End quote. The Lankavatara Sutra. Thus, we can say that the state of perfect enlightenment is empty of erroneous conceptions and the habit energy created by them. Quote, that all things are devoid of self-nature means that there is a constant and uninterrupted becoming, a momentary change from one state of existence to another. Seeing this, Mahamati, all things are destitute of self-nature, so one speaks of all things having no self-nature. End quote. The Lankavatara Sutra. Quote, now I will give a name to our Buddha nature. It is called empty and cognizant self-existing wakefulness. The empty aspect, the essence, is like space that pervades everywhere, but inseparable from this empty quality is a natural capacity to cognize and perceive, which is basic wakefulness. Buddha nature is called self-existing because it is not made out of anything or created by anyone. Self-existing means uncreated by causes in the beginning and undestroyed by circumstances in the end. This self-existing wakefulness is present in all beings without a single exception. Our thinking and self-existing wakefulness are never apart. The thinking mind is called expression, while the basic wakefulness is called essence. Thus, there are actually two names for the mind. In the case of an ignorant sentient being, the mind is called empty cognizance, with a core of ignorance, or marigpa. The mind of all the Buddhas is called empty cognizance, with a core of awareness, or rigpa. End quote. Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, the fourth Dharma of Gampopa. The emptiness of Buddha nature, which is inseparable from wakefulness and awareness, means, as I explained in chapter 4, non-empty emptiness, in the sense that it is only empty of illusions and blind passions, but not empty of itself and its innate qualities. This is why it has, for example, the natural capacity to cognize and perceive, and why it is self-existing. On the other hand, our thinking mind is self-empty in the sense that it is only an expression or a projection that is constantly changing according to circumstances, illusions, and attachments. The explanation of the difference between our thinking mind, which is called expression, and the basic wakefulness, which is called essence or Buddha nature, is explained in the following passage from the same work. Quote, the state of being a Buddha is unconfused and undiluted, just like the sun shining in the sky. The state of mind of sentient beings is like the reflection of the sun on water. Just as the reflection is dependent upon water, our thoughts are dependent upon objects. The object is what is thought of, and the subject is the perceiving mind. Subject-object fixation is the cause for continuing in deluded samsaric existence, day and night, life after life. The fixation upon subject and object, the perceiving subject and the perceived object, is solidified again and again each moment, and thus creates samsaric existence. Right now we have the 5 sense objects of sight, sound, smells, tastes, and textures. In between, as the gates, we have the 5 senses, and there are also the various consciousnesses that continuously apprehend these different sense objects." End quote. Kalki Pundarika made another comparison. Quote, "Samsaric existence and nirvana or Buddha nature are not identical, but like a shadow and the sun." End quote. Quote, "Dharmas are wholesome samsaric phenomena, unwholesome phenomena, and neutral phenomena, everything that can be described and indicated in this way. Dharmata means that they are empty in essence, empty by nature, and empty of characteristics." End quote. Sri Singha, 10 profound points of essential advice. Quote, "Relative truth is empty of self-nature and absolute truth is empty of other. If the mode of emptiness of the two truths is not understood in this way, there is a danger of denying complete Buddhahood." End quote. Dolpopa Sherab Gyaltsen, Sun clarifying the two truths. In the category of relative truth are included all samsaric phenomena. About them we say that they exist only at the relative level because they appear according to causes and conditions, but ultimately are empty and non-existent. In the category of absolute truth are included the Buddha nature and all its myriad qualities, as well as the Buddhas who dwell in it. The Buddha nature is always existing, having no beginning and no end. Thus, it is only empty of other, that is, empty of defilements, and whatever it is, not absolute truth. Those who do not understand the difference between emptiness of samsaric phenomena and non-emptiness or empty of other, emptiness of Buddha nature, actually deny Buddhahood and the existence of Buddhas. Such ignorant people usually say that everything is empty, including the Buddha nature, thus falling into the heresy of nihilistic emptiness, about which I talked at chapter 10. Quote, "Carefully distinguishing empty of self-nature and empty of other, what is relative is all taught to be empty of self-nature, and what is absolute is taught to be precisely empty of other." End quote. Dolpopa Sherab Gyaltsen, the Fourth Council. Quote, "Because relative and incidental entities are completely non-existent in their true mode of existence, in absolute truth they do not exist. They are empty of own essence, that is, being empty of self-nature. Because the original absolute that is empty of those relative phenomena is never non-existent, it is empty of other." End quote. Dolpopa Sherab Gyaltsen, Analysis of Dharma for the Ruler of Jang. Quote, "Carefully distinguishing empty of self-nature and empty of other, what is relative is all taught to be empty of self-nature, and what is absolute is taught to be precisely empty of other." End quote. Dolpopa Sherab Gyaltsen, the Fourth Council. Quote, "The ultimate reality of all profound sutras and tantras that carefully present thusness or Buddha nature and so forth is emptiness of other, never emptiness of self-nature. Such sacred texts support the idea that Buddha nature is only empty of other, that is, empty of defilements and samsaric phenomena, but not empty of its own nature. It is absolute, never relative. It is the true nature, never a phenomena. It is nirvana, never samsara. It is primordial awareness, never consciousness. Buddha nature is not the mind stream of samsaric beings. It is pure, never impure. It is sublime self, never nothingness. It is great bliss, never suffering. It is permanent and stable, never impermanent. It is self-arisen, never other arisen. It is natural, never fabricated. It is primordial, never incidental. It is Buddha, never sentient being. It is the kernel, never the husk. It is definitive meaning, never provisional meaning. It is ultimate, never temporary. It is the true mode of reality, never the mode of confusion. It is true, never false. It is perfect, never mistaken. It is the ground of emptiness, never just empty. Buddha nature is not just empty like the samsaric phenomena, but actually empty only of samsara and never empty of its own innate qualities. It is virtue, never vice. It is authentic, never inauthentic. It is stainless, never stained. Therefore, these are the same as great Madhyamaka. All the sublime sutras of the third Dharma wheel, and all the treatises of Maitreya are the same as great Madhyamaka. The pristine Tantras are also likewise. End quote. Dolpopa Sherab Gyaltsen, the Fourth Council. Great Madhyamaka, or Great Madhyamika, is the great middle way in accordance with the views expressed in this book that Buddha nature is true reality, which is empty of other, that is, empty of defilements, but not empty of its own nature. Master Taranatha said, quote, "The great middle way is the middle way school of cognition, renowned in Tibet as other emptiness or Shen Tong. It is illuminated by the text of the foremost holy Maitreya, by the superior Asanga, and by the supreme scholar Vasubandhu, and is greatly illuminated by the superior Nagarjuna's praise of the elements of attributes." End quote. The third Dharma wheel, or the third turning of the wheel of Dharma, comprises sutras like Tathagatagarbha Sutra, Mahaparinirvana Sutra, Dharma Drum Sutra, Queen Shrimala Sutra, Angulimala Sutra, etc. Where Shakyamuni explained that all sentient beings have Buddha nature, that is, the Tathagatagarbha doctrine, and the potential to become Buddhas. It also teaches the abandonment of the clinging to emptiness. Quote, "I cannot yield to those who accept that all is precisely empty of self-nature, except that emptiness of self-nature is the absolute. The wrong view of everything is empty. Except that the absolute is empty of self-nature. The wrong view of Buddha nature being empty of itself and its innate qualities. Except that concepts are the Dharmakaya. Except that the 5 poisons are primordial awareness. The wrong view of saying that samsaric phenomena are not different from nirvana. Except that consciousness is Buddha. The wrong view of saying that the mind streams or egos of samsaric beings are not different from Buddhas or Buddha nature. Except that karmic appearances are Buddha. The wrong view of saying that samsaric phenomena that appear due to karma are not different from Buddha nature and its qualities, which are unborn and do not depend on causes and conditions. Except that Buddha is just an empty name. The wrong view of thinking that Buddhas are just symbols or metaphors. Except that Buddha never exists. The wrong view of nihilistic emptiness. Except that absolute Buddha does not exist. Also the wrong view of nihilistic emptiness. Dolpopa Sherab Gyaltsen, the Fourth Council. Self-emptiness is not the pure, final middle way. The highest of views is only other emptiness. End quote. Master Dolpopa, as explained in the essence of other emptiness by Taranatha. To say that everything is empty of itself is not the true middle way or Madhyamaka. The true middle way and the highest Buddhist view is that Buddha nature is only empty of other, that is, empty of defilements and illusions. Quote, "The thoroughly established nature or Buddha nature, the matrix of one gone to bliss, is never empty of its own entity, but is primordially empty of others, that is, conventionalities. Hence the thoroughly established nature, the ultimate truth, is other empty, not self-empty." End quote. Taranatha, the essence of other emptiness. Quote, "Since conventionalities such as forms, sounds, odors, tastes, and so forth are in the class of consciousness, they are without true existence. And since nominal forms, sounds, and so forth are in the class of pristine wisdom, they are truly established." Dolpopa's Mountain Doctrine 316. Quote, "In that way, thusness or Buddha nature, the basis of emptiness, having many synonyms, is the basis primordially empty and void of all adventitious phenomena, and is the pure basis. Hence, primordially pure phenomena, ranging from forms through omniscience, are nominal, thoroughly established forms, and so forth, and also forms and so on, pass beyond the 3 realms and the 3 times." End quote. Taranatha, the essence of other emptiness. Manifestations caused by the karma of unenlightened beings are ultimately empty and non-existent. However, the manifestations or pure phenomena of Buddhas who are established in their Buddha nature, nomenon, are true and real. Quote, "Also, The Mahaparinirvana Sutra makes pronouncements within differentiating well between empty forms and so forth, and non-empty forms and so forth. Kondinya, empty form, due to the condition of ceasing, attains release in the aspect of non-empty form. This should be known in extension likewise with regard to feelings, discriminations, compositional factors, and consciousness. Concerning those respectively, the forms and so forth of adventitious defilements are empty of their own entities, and emptiness of non-entities, and the forms and so forth of the matrix of one gone to bliss are the ultimate other emptiness, emptiness that is the ultimate nature of non-entities. End quote. Dolpopa Sherab Gyaltsen, Mountain Doctrine. Quote, the forms and so forth of the matrix of one gone to bliss, end quote, are the Dharmakaya as compassionate means, which is empty of other, that is empty of defilements and illusions, and so rarely existing. Quote, whatever external appearance you perceive as a naturally occurring appearance and a naturally empty emptiness, let it be, free from mental constructs. Within whatever moves in your mind, whatever you think, has no essence, but is empty. End quote. Padmasambhava, advice from the lotus-born. Self-emptiness or empty emptiness means that something is empty of its own entity. This is the case with any samsaric phenomena, including the outer world and inner world of unenlightened beings. Quote, you and all others are deluded by not recognizing what is devoid of a self-nature to be so. End quote. Padmasambhava, advice from the lotus-born. There are two important footnotes to this section. The first important footnote refers to Vasubandhu, who is also the second Indian patriarch of our school. The works related to the Great Middle Way are Commentary on Maitreya's differentiation of the middle and the extremes, explanation of Maitreya's ornament for the Great Vehicle Sutras, Principles of Explanation, the 30, and commentaries on the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras attributed to Vasubandhu by the Tibetan Jonang Paskul. The second and final important footnote to this section refers to the fact that for Buddhas who are free wherever they go, everything is like nirvana, but is not related to the above wrong view of saying that samsaric phenomena are not different from nirvana.